followed by Senator Scott.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think all of what we're talking about is about the budget, and it's about our values and where we want to invest as a country. I do think it's important to note that when we have a Republican president, there's a very different discussion about deficits. I mean, we all know that the $2 trillion in unpaid for tax cuts to the wealthiest Americans done under President Trump put us in a situation where 25% of all of the national debt of the country ever created was in those 4 years. And I didn't hear a lot then. In fact, I'm sure we're going to hear when those tax cuts come up for renewal that we should be extending all of them with the debt. So what I appreciate, Director Young, and I appreciate the President Biden for, is you're changing the paradigm. For years, we've heard about trickle-down economics. Let it trickle down. Some way it's going to hit you. People in Michigan still waiting for it to trickle down. But now we have something different, and it's actually working by the numbers. You just have to look at the facts. This president has said, grow the middle class. Lower costs for people, grow the middle class, and we'll see what happens here. Coming out of the worst crisis we have had ever in COVID and the mess that everybody was handed at that time, horrible situation for families, but also for a new president coming out of all this. So 3.5 years later, as my mom would say, proof is in the pudding. We got 15 million new jobs, 351,000 of those in Michigan. We've got unemployment below 4% for the longest stretch in 50 years. More small businesses are being created, which I love, and I have to put a caveat in, really led by Black women entrepreneurs. So I'm excited about all of what I see coming for small businesses as well, and I could go on and on in terms of what the numbers show us. We have not seen the crash that we keep hearing about from the other side, that in the doom that's been expected. We are seeing growth. We are seeing costs beginning to come down, and there's more to do. So I just want to first thank you for this budget, because you are building on the progress that's been made of smart investments to grow the middle class and to ensure, frankly, that large corporations and the wealthy pay more of their fair share, which I think people, certainly in Michigan, think is a good idea to see happening. I appreciate that this budget invests in affordable child care, helping people buy their first home. And by the way, as a caveat, when I was in northern Michigan last year talking to a coalition of 15 really terrific chambers of commerce of small communities all across northern Michigan, their top two priorities, Mr. Chairman, were child care, Senator Murray, and affordable housing. These are not radical socialists. These are not, most of these folks are probably registered Republicans, and I love working with them, but their priorities were affordable child care, affordable child care and affordable housing is what they want us to work on as folks in small communities across Michigan. So this budget cuts student debt, lowers prescription drug costs. Again, thank goodness, as we move forward, would love to have bipartisan support for that. We had the first round, $35 insulin cap, negotiating with Medicare. We didn't get any of our Republican colleagues. It'd be wonderful to get some Republican support for this time. And of course, restoring the child tax credit, which when we did it 2 years ago, cut child poverty in half, which I think should be celebrated. So thank you for that. And also, this proposal would reduce the deficit by another $3.2 trillion while achieving long-term Medicare solvency without harming Social Security or Medicare. So I have a question for you. First, again, Director Young, thank you for supporting so many things that Michigan cares about. SULACs, Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, all the things that are important for us in Michigan, protecting our natural resources and growing our economy. We know that we work together, the Biden administration, and in fact, it's this wonderful bipartisan effort around behavioral health, really funding and supporting health care above the neck, the same as health care below the neck. And we have made dramatic steps forward across the country right now to fund comprehensive certified community behavioral health clinics, strongly supported by communities and law enforcement, and again, very bipartisan. So in addition to increasing the investments in CCBHCs in the president's budget, you have several other proposals to strengthen and improve access to behavioral health. I wonder if you might speak for a moment about this, because this too, out in the real world, certainly across Michigan, I know across the country, these are very, very important issues.
Thank you for all the points you made. I could not have made them better. Look, president's budgets are to show a vision. Most budgets are not picked up lock, stock, and pass, but the idea is presidents should put forward how they believe the country should move forward. This president believes we have to keep investing in the American people, grow the economy for the middle class, give working families a shot in this country, and we can do that through a fair tax code. But that also means we get to do stuff like behavioral health, not only not adding to the deficit, but having $3 trillion in the savings in the deficit. And we're proud of the behavioral health budget, $20.8 billion in discretionary and mandatory resources across health and human services, $2.2 billion over 2023 spending. We enable more Americans with private insurance, Medicare, and Medicaid to access mental health and substance use disorder care. The 988 crisis line, thank you all for helping get that started. We need more resources to make that more robust. I don't think anyone here thinks we need to do less for suicide prevention in this country for civilians and our veterans. So this budget makes those commitments to the American people, and we do so in a fiscally responsible manner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.